All right, everyone, we're going to get started again. So now that you've had a chance to explore some ideas with prototyping and discuss the insights that came out of this, Robert's going to be presenting some demos related to designing VR environments. This should help with understanding some of the possibilities and limitations of current and emerging VR technologies for some of these ICT-related challenges that we've been exploring today. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you again. So welcome back, everyone, from your break. So what I wanted to actually discuss today, and I've heard in a lot of the conversations of different virtual rooms and such, is I wanted to actually just showcase Mozilla Hubs. So this is a narrow form of an ICT or a virtual room, and you can create these rooms and meet people virtually online. In the same way as like some other rooms are. The difference between, say, a Zoom or a Microsoft Teams is that these rooms allow you to hear, say, the sound spatially around you when you're in a conversation. You can bring in 3D objects. And within the examples I have today, you can actually create some multi-sensory experiences that might be more beneficial than just a Zoom room or just a flat screen. So what I have is there's going to be a QR code that's going to be shared with its groups. What happens is that when you're on this QR code, you're going to come on a website just like what I'm presenting now. And you have the instructions here, which allow you to go. I'm not going to go through the instructions. We can, like if you have trouble, do it. But I'm going to show you the page at the bottom, which has all these activities on it that you could go to. So there's 5 activities or 5 rooms that are prepared today, and you can go in any of them. So it's just a main hall, which would just be a standard room, a bigger hall where a lot of people can meet, bring in 3D objects. We have a tactile earth display, which when you go in this, you can view that 3D earth that we were talking about before inside a 3D object with different pictures that showcase some of the work that was put in from the lab. We have a communicational audio display, a section I didn't cover from the website, but it's actually from the Exploring Digital Audio representations of the website. You can explore that actually in Mozilla Hubs, which will show an experiment of showing, it's pretty much a model of a brain, and it will show different elements like left temporal lobe will be on your left-hand side here, or right temporal lobe will be on your right-hand side. So you'll be able to explore that, like learning from like where you think audio would be inside that piece. Then you have a standard conference room, which is like activity 4. And then if your phone is having any troubles, go to activity 5, which is a very low res room where you can meet and just explore the capacities of it. It's in this simple meeting room, it has spawn points, which only allows 8 people at once, which makes the really simple room where you meet and you can you pretty much spawn in different angles, depending on each other, and you can have that experience. So, without further ado, you can go and explore these pieces, and please reach out if you have any questions with the instructions and such. And if you have any, if you're still having trouble or people can't get in, or maybe just want to watch, I can stream on the front screen as well. My experience on it as inside this room. But I'd leave
Also, I just wanted to say,
any help with it or that, just reach out now. And they say the activities are at the bottom of the screen.
We do recommend, if you have headphones, using them, the audio, just so you can fully experience the audio. What I'm going to do virtually is post the link to the Mozilla Hubs page in the chat. And then, as Robert said, if you scroll down to that page, every activity is there. And just to clarify, this will involve, like, it will pop up a new window. So I do recommend that you, I mean, I think everyone's muted here, but yeah, mute here, and then in the Mozilla Hubs, people will be there.
With their phones, or if people are using their phones, some of the best ways to navigate is to pinch the middle of your screen. And you'll go forward, just not the control joysticks themselves, but like pinching the center will allow you to move very easy. going to showcase one on my screen and see if I can catch any people inside the room itself. While I'm loading, I do want to add that in Mozilla Hubs you can also have it so that you can create your own rooms. It's it's an interesting process. You can make your own room, bring in a 3D objects, and pretty much construct it with their predetermined kits. So if this is interesting, at the bottom of that same website page, there is a link. I haven't loaded in yet. Hello. Oh, there we go.
Hey, this is your first person view. Yeah.
So as seen on the screen, there's a tactile Earth display that's like a replica, and they're still loading in some of the videos and media content that exists inside the space. But these are actually other people inside the space, and I believe everyone picked random avatars, so I'm kind of afraid what my avatar looks like, but you can pick how you're viewed inside this virtual space, as well as like what content you want to put inside of it. So just as an example, I'm going to place a 3D object that you can bring in. So I'm just going to go into, like, I don't have a 3D object on me, but I can just get a Earth model, let's say. So I can get a picture of an Earth and bring that right into the space from a online reservoir. And once that's loading, everyone inside the room would be, their experience has changed. So you can bring in a 3D model that you've made, or you can bring in a model that's in Earth space and bring that in and share that with people. So it's more than just, sharing a 2D on the wall, as you can see, but you can also make an interactive space where you're all viewing and talking in that same space and kind of share the intentionality of what you're doing, more so than, say, a Zoom room.
Robert, can you hear me?
There is quite a few people. The party room is room 2, by the way, for anyone.
Because it's almost 5.
That object is still loading. We are. Maybe I'll pick an easier one. If you do have, as you could hear Aaron a bit inside the back. Oh. If you have spatial audio, if you want spatial audio, you do have to have headphones in. So it's just going to come out of your computers in mono, but in one dimension. And we have, okay, somebody else has brought in an object or something. Oh, there we go. Anyway, this is actually just one example of rooms that exist, and there's quite a few out there. There's like spatial, which is another one which uses mixed reality, which brings you in, like say if this was a conference room and I had a Microsoft mixed reality headset, I could bring this whole conference room into I can bring everyone into this conference room and everyone will see the 360 video of that. So this is just one example of what's out there, but from my previous discussion, bringing in this haptic VR, bringing in all these different pieces, you can actually have it so that you can create more than just a space where it's just a virtual avatar. You can have a space that has different aspects or sensory aspects that can improve the way ICTs are delivered out there, or at least give some affordances that are not available now. Do I have time to do 4 minutes? Wow. I didn't get to show a slide. I'm nice.
Go back to it and show it.
I want to show the website. Can I get back?
I think that's this one, right?
And I can close that just so I'm not talking triple in there. I should have done that. My bad. I'm just going back to my website just to show one additional step forward that we're doing that's a little bit further than Mozilla Hubs, and I have a VR demo that's in the space itself, but we were unsure because of the internet here. But let's see. What's happening is that we are actually, so one of the projects we're working on now as a research team is we're trying to look at, how can we solve some problems when working with ICTs, but in terms of like sensory accessibility or like different accessibility pieces. So what happens is that what we're doing is applying a lot of the different features that we've discussed today, and we're making almost like what we call a fake Mozilla Hubs or Mozilla Hubs copy. But instead for it just being for consumers or for general use, we are working with people with different disabilities to incorporate their need cases inside these pieces. So instead for just saying, imagine a Mozilla Hubs that's accessible, say, for a person with sight loss, we are going and working with these communities and having it so that you could go in and you don't just make something and show that community. You co-design that with that community and make them an active function of the features that are included in it, so that it can actually accommodate some of the features. So one of the things we're working on, I'm just going to show a series of pictures, is a room that we're working on, which looks kind of like Mozilla Hubs with different avatars you can pick, and you can share these 3D objects. You can share these 3D objects and navigate. So this is a really early prototype, by the way, but this is just building the base line of it. Oh. The tech is not, there we go. So just like walking around the space the same way you would walk in the other space, and you have the first person as well. And then you have like this thing that I talked about today, which is the active haptics. So like you're inside the space, you're using it on your phone, but now you have like an attachment, put a VR headset on, and you can view and touch that, say that model that's in Mozilla Hubs, you can touch it instead and have it so that that becomes not just a sight piece, but it also becomes a tactile piece for, say, somebody with sight loss. And so by putting the tool and including, like, say, that offering tool that I showed before, you can make an experience that's kind of multimodal inside that. And this last piece is just, you can actually create a character with this add-on. We're currently using this add-on called Ready Player Me. So you can bring it, you can make a virtual model by just taking a screenshot, just a screenshot of your face, and it makes the best virtual model that it thinks what your face is. And then you can bring that right into the hubs itself. So like those are the things we're trying to improve, like your identity, how to make it so it's a multi-sensory experience, but also working with those accessibility groups so that the features made are not just mainstream. It's like, hey, I have these features that can really benefit me. And when you make stuff accessible, usually it benefits everybody in the end, because you're adding all these features in that add different ways for you to interact with that content. Okay? So that's it for me on that one.
Thank you, Robert. So we're going to wrap up the workshop with just a Q&A session. We'll take as many questions as there are as time allows. But thanks for all of your participation so far. We'll just get started with questions. I shouldn't be sharing, should I?
You
Hi, everybody.
questions from the chat.
Oh, no? Okay, perfect.
Or comments. Doesn't have to be a question.
Comments are welcome also, yes.
One comment I could make, this is Peter Coppin here, OCAD University. So this is sort of, a lot to cram into 4 hours. So for those who are interested, we want to keep doing this work. And so this is probably the first of many sort of co-design activities we're going to be doing. And so there's lots of opportunities for us to follow up with you and co-design further, learn from your experiences further, collaborate further. And so let us know if you'd like to do that. point out there. So in addition to other questions or comments, I think people could also suggest ways to collaborate. Like I had a great interaction with Logan, and he's developing educational. So I could see him like working with us, working with our students, working with an advisee, working with a member of the research team to like figure out how to make some of those diagrams and figures, like cross sensory or something like that, or deal with the attentional issues, for example. So any other ideas or observations from the research team?
We've got a question in the audience. I think you can step up to the mic if you'd like. Mic's on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the mic's on.
So that was an interesting, just that experience right there was an interesting sort of physical space, virtual space disconnect, right? With somebody in the room, with their hand up, getting pointed at. People in a virtual space have no idea that that's happening.
I'm not sure exactly where I want to go with this, but the virtual or hybrid conference experience is challenging for many reasons, right? One of them, just one of many, is that we now have people in many time zones around the world trying to be engaged in the conference at the same time or over the course of the same set of days. And so a significant challenge in organizing these conferences now is managing all of these different time zones and creating opportunity for that engagement. And I'd be really interested to know what sort of ideas people have, if any, about enabling combinations of synchronous and asynchronous participation in what's going on in the conference, and how to make that as seamless and accessible and create as many affordances in that environment as possible. So.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have some ideas, but let's hear from the group first.
I have some ideas too. But anybody else wants to jump in? Can you ask Peter? I can share. And you can share.
Tamara's going to share a comment.
Sure. Peter, I thought I'd go first and then you can take over. So speaking of this kind of synchronous, asynchronous conflict, an idea would be to have, let's say, the synchronous event recorded, and then people who are participating asynchronously also have that documented. And so the recording is not static, it grows as people engage asynchronously, and those aspects get added into this recording. So I guess a way to think of it conceptually would be like video editing, where you're editing different video clips together, but here you're compiling different synchronous moments together, and then you would only view the whole thing with people's added asynchronous aspects, like at the end of the whole conference, for example. So if this conference was happening synchronously right now, and it's recorded, this is one aspect. And then someone in China views the asynchronous part, but they also take part in the activities and drop in their little content clips, and then that documentation gets updated and grows bigger. And then it keeps growing as people engage with it asynchronously until at the end of the conference you have like a combined thing. What is sad is that people, unless they review it again, will not get the content that everyone's adding at different moments. But that's just an idea that came to me. Peter, do you want to take over and add your comments?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, well, first let me build on what you're saying. I think, yeah, that's like a really interesting idea. Now, these remote people adding their clips, is that happening at the same time as the conference or after the conference?
She's saying after.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's sort of like, I think, like think of all the situations where maybe you had like a conference or an art exhibition or something, and like more people see the documentation than the exhibition or conference itself, right? So I was just thinking of this, like where, like the parts of this, like the presentations we could post on the website, but then people can add comments and stuff. But what you're saying, it can be actual clips and stuff. And so I think now that, so that connects with sort of like what we were, so as we were developing this conference, we knew, we sort of, because we had, I had directed the Inclusive Design graduate program for 6 years. And we had previously had a hybrid program where people could come in person, but also dial in remotely. And then during the pandemic, it was all remote, and it was so much easier. Okay. During the pandemic, we sort of knew that it would be a lot harder hybrid than, because we also did like a CogSci workshop like a year and a half ago or something, where it was all online. It was like way easier. Like the logistics are so much harder with hybrid. And so the idea we had, I don't know if we actually did it, but I think we did variations of it, is like, well, let's, because we were thinking, what are the unique affordances that where we can benefit from the hybrid, and it's not just a workaround. And so basically the model we came up with is, we know how to run in-person workshops really well. We know how to run online workshops really well. Where it gets like really hard is when you do hybrid. So let's like make a fully online workshop, and let's like make a fully in-person workshop, and then just blend them at key moments, right? So actually that's the reason why we have like online facilitators and in-person facilitators, just sort of based on that idea. But we did intermix it more than that original idea. But the idea was sort of acknowledging how hard this is, right? So what I like about Tamara's idea is it's sort of like another level of that idea, like where it's like you sort of have the online experience, you have the in-person experience. You don't necessarily attempt to make it one experience. Now, of course, that seems, there's obviously, like all things, where there are positive, negative affordances, like some people will feel like there is like the sense that the remote people are having a different experience, right? Okay. Like they're excluded somehow because it's after the fact. So that's probably not a perfect solution. I guess like other ideas are like as we think of as extended reality becomes more ubiquitous, it's possible to have like a physical room with like an online replica, and like some people are there virtually, but then like some representation of them is in the online environment. And then like if Apple creates some AR glasses, like the equivalent of their watch, only it's glasses, where there can be like overlays, then virtual people could be in a physical room, sort of like well, I think we've seen this in science fiction, like so it's like I am in that room. Like I think there's a scene in the sequel to Blade Runner where they had like a fictionalized example of that. Right now, I don't know how I feel about that, but those are just some initial ideas. But I think that is what this whoever put that forth, this challenge. I think, in my opinion, this is sort of the grand challenge of post-pandemic, okay? Because I think that a lot of companies and organizations want an online option now. And I think what we're going to see is it's actually a lot harder than fully online. And especially, but it needs to be done because online hasn't caught up with what you can do in the physical world, okay? But there are like levels of inclusion you can get in like the online world, like geographic locations and stuff. And I guess like the other unsolved challenge is a time zone thing, but the recording, Tamara's idea could maybe deal. So it's like a hodgepodge of ideas, my quick response. But I think that's probably the big challenge where there needs to be a lot of creativity.
I know we're out of time. I just wanted to add one quick observation. Sorry, David. Yeah, in response to whoever asked the question, can you guys hear me in the room though? Okay, so I don't have a solid answer for you, but I have been a teaching assistant for one of Peter's classes, and inclusive design at OCAD has always been a hybrid program. Actually, a lot of students are in different time zones, and we found that a couple years into the pandemic, more than ever, there were greater class sizes because a lot of people were able to join us internationally via Microsoft Teams. And I think the one thing we tried to do was provide, if we talk about the model again, different ways for them to increase that spatial and topological synchrony. So we really tried to like harness the power of the current state of Microsoft Teams in order to give them those opportunities. So there's opportunities to create certain channels, teams where they can engage in like synchronous or asynchronous interactions. And there's also other things like reactions that are part of that platform that, give you something. So we have talked a lot about how like, yes, you've sent this asynchronous message and what the power of like just this little thumbs up sign does for you in terms of acknowledging that, you've sent this message, and Zoom has that too. And yeah, I guess that's just my observation. We just provided more opportunities to, with the current state of the platform, to increase opportunities to engage.
Thanks, Erin. So we're definitely at time now. Great discussion, and we encourage anyone who has any further burning questions to ask, or who wishes to continue working on prototype solutions or working with us on co-design, to keep in touch with us. We've put our principal contact email address up on the screen. So feel free to reach out at any time. Also, one last reminder that we do intend to generate reports or publications of the outcomes of this workshop. So if anybody would still like to sign our consent form, we'll arrange for that. And you also may still withdraw if you wish to. So thank you so much for everyone who came here today and participated. We appreciate it very much. Have a great rest of the conference, and we hope to hear from you again.
Yeah, and also CogSci ideas are also cool studies that use ideas from cognitive science that beyond what we've discussed. So it's, also there's like new theories to be developed, new studies to be run, so on and so forth. So thank you very much, everybody. I thought that went really well. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Good job on the workshop, guys. Yay, it's done.
Yeah, good. We did it. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. In a few hours, I was so stressed out.
Peter, we can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I think since the conference ended, the room audio has gone up, but I think maybe people online can hear you.
Oh, maybe I should, okay. Anyway, I just thought it went really well. Okay, but let's do, if people aren't burnt out, we could do a quick debrief on Teams or something for anyone. I just like it for anyone who still has energy. I'm just really excited, bursting with ideas, I thought it went great, guys. Good job.
Yeah, I agree. It went really well.
Yeah.
I gotta run. I have to take care of a few things. I'm
All right.
sorry.
All right. Great job.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, it's also late for me, so I'm gonna head out too.
Okay.
But,
Good job, guys.
See you guys on Friday.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, see you.